one that has the experience and the knowledge of county government to move our community forward in unity. The money that I've raised, the support that I have is widespread. And it's from right here in Erie County. I have the temperament to be your next county executive. I leave that to you, the voters, to decide.
I'm going to show you a new antiseptic skin cleanser that works when it's on and keeps working for 12 hours after you wash it off. Bactine medicated skin cream. It's got the great Bactine germ killer in it, so it cleans your skin right down into the pores, right down to the germs and bacteria that can cause blemishes. After you wash it off, it leaves a soft, invisible film that protects your skin from more germs for 12 hours. Excuse me. Your skin will be antiseptically clean and protected from germs that can damage it for 12 hours. If you use Bactine medicated skin cream morning and night, it really pays off.
Social Distancing Variety Hour.
Social Distancing Variety Hour.
Protecting you for up to 12 hours. I'm Adam.
12 hours of a smooth film of protection for you.
Silky. For you and you. And you. Hi, I'm Adam.
I'm Garrett. Good evening.
Glad to have you with us again.
Welcome to the Social Distancing Variety Hour.
Yes, the last time we will be with you before the upcoming municipal primaries, which we've been talking so much about the last couple weeks, couple months.
All elections are local.
All elections are local. All politics is local.
But especially this election.
Yeah, none more local than this very, very local one. So we will be talking about it one more time. We got... I went out and did a little field trip earlier this week. We got some highlights from my little field trip earlier this week. We got some other people to talk about who are not going to be on the show. We got some people to talk with who are going to be on the show. But first, how was your week?
My weekend was fabulous. The week was long and arduous, but the weekend was fabulous. Friday night, started a little fire in the old fire pit in the backyard. As you know, the wife and I spent most of our, well, not most, but a good portion of our COVID free time doing redoing the yard and gardening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We're seeing the fruits of our labor.
That's good.
Now. And so, now we got this nice backyard that we can actually go and have friends over. So we had a nice little fire in the fire pit and had a couple of friends over, and everyone was maxed and vaxxed, and it was lovely evening of gathering like we haven't in quite a while.
Yeah, it feels like we've definitely turned a corner. Like, we went out to the event that we'll talk about in a little bit. Some of the local, couple of the labor unions threw an event for some of the candidates for Commonwealth Judge, which was in the warehouse at Lavery Brewing. And, Ren and I went, and, the elder two of the kiddos went with us, and we were like, we're out at a place. Meeting new people. Like,
it was pretty nice.
It's so weird. Like, it's the kind of, like, we used to do that all the time.
Yeah.
Which I know you did too, because you're the kind of social butterfly.
Back in the before times. Remember back in the before times?
I remember the before times.
Remember back then?
Yeah. But it's the kind of thing that we used to do all the time. Like, go to a place where a thing was happening and be like, hey, you're new, you're neat. But like, it has become so foreign and so much not a part of what our lives have been. And it was really kind of energizing to be like out in the world, meeting new, interesting people. A friend of the program, Carl Anderson, was there. 80% sure that I have no idea. He had no idea who I was.
No idea.
So that was fun.
So you're that guy.
Yeah, he clearly did not know I was that guy.
Photoshopped mailer.
Yeah. Friend of the program, Carl Anderson, was there. Friend of the program, Chuck Nelson, was there. Several of the other candidates for local offices. Met Chris Campanelli, who's running for sheriff, who we hoped was going to be on the program this week, and unfortunately he had to back out.
Late. You got to be bold. You got to be bold candidate to be a friend of the program.
Yeah.
And stay up this late on a Sunday night.
Not everybody can be a friend of the program.
No,
but,
exactly.
we brave few who are still friends of the
There's,
program
some
after all this time.
some people, want to try but still can't. But that door is always open.
But God bless them for trying. Yeah.
But it was really nice, I had a nice little fire in the backyard, and saw the fruits of all the, all the flowers in the garden are coming up. So it was like we were all like giddy, like, oh, it looks so nice, and we had people over, and we're drinking drinks, and making food and stuff, and so great.
Yeah.
But then Saturday, it was a nice Saturday. Had a little cookout, fired up the grill for the first time for the season here, and then today I took the kids. My oldest now is working at Waldemere, so I took
nice.
My youngest two over, and we re-upped our Wally World passes.
Yeah,
we re-upped our season passes and rode a few rides and waited till my oldest shift ended, and then gave her a ride home instead of making her walk.
Oh, that's cool. Now, did you guys go at all last year?
No, not at all.
Yeah, we did not either. The kids always.
I was kind of glad that we didn't buy our passes and then be like, oh.
Yeah, we had them in advance, and we basically ended up eating them last year, unfortunately. Yeah. But the grandparents or somebody usually gets the kids the season passes for the Christmas before, so we already had them. But just did not feel good about it last year, and maybe by the end of the season it would have been okay on a Tuesday or something, but we were so busy with trying to just get the thing done, and we were both working and all that stuff, and it was it was not going to happen. But this year we have assured the kiddos that we will definitely go to Waldemere at some point this year, I am sure. And I already feel
it was just the first weekend that felt like a real weekend. We haven't had a weekend like this in forever.
Yeah.
It felt like it was all right, this is what a normal weekend feels like. It wasn't really, there wasn't really a whole lot of, it wasn't oh man, we had all these events, we did all this stuff. It was just
we
went
normal number of events,
things.
Normal amount of stuff. But a before times normal amount of events.
Exactly. It was just a regular average run of the mill weekend, but it felt, all right, this is what we should be doing all the time.
Yeah.
And it was beautiful. It was a beautiful weekend.
Normal amounts of stuff now feel kind of exhausting, though, I got to say.
Took a little ride out to the peninsula.
It's how did we ever used to do all this stuff back in the before times?
My schedule was so packed.
I know, mine was too. And And I had made an effort to slow down. I am not as busy as I used to be, and even in the late before times. And it's how did we ever do all that stuff? And
we just did it,
work jobs where we had to leave the house and go places. I mean, I know you're still have to leave the house and go places, but I do mine right over.
I've been in a storage closet
there. This is my basement. I'll have you know, my storage closet does not have room for nearly this many guitars in it.
Actually, here for you.
Actually, here for you.
It was. It really felt. It was a nice weekend. It was, like I said, it was nothing. It was nondescript. It wasn't anything we had this big, huge event that we went to, but it was just a really nice, chill weekend. The kids were all cool and fun. Saw some friends and stuff like that we haven't seen in a while.
Oh,
by the way, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
I'm being an old Italian grandma tonight, and I'm drinking amaretto and soda because I got I have weird dregs.
Oh, Sonny, you got the whippersnapper there.
Yeah, I have weird dregs of stuff on my shelf because we've been doing cocktail R&D. So I've got most of a bottle of amaretto. I'm gonna make something out of that. Why not?
And you did. I got tonight. I'm going with the Altered States White Mink.
Okay.
From Altered States Distillery and lemonade.
Our friendly neighborhood spot. I went to Altered State on Friday. They had some music going. It was the Josh Travis band, Josh Travis ensemble.
He's sorry if he doesn't remember. He's sorry,
yeah.
people. Sorry.
Josh Travis and friends. And I was only there for 40 minutes, but the Bromance Sandwiches food truck was there. Have you had the Bromance Sandwiches food truck
Actually, for Teacher Appreciation Week, we had.
Oh, nice.
Had some Bromance. I had the Big Bro.
Oh, the Big Bro.
Burger. The Big Bro Burger.
I've not had that one yet. I've had it.
It was very, very good.
I've tried a couple of the other burgers. They've got the, I think one they made it for an event at the Aleworks. They had the Blast Off Burger, which was particularly good, and then they have their like jalapeno popper burger with like it's got like a raspberry something or other on it. And that one's great too. But yeah, I went and ate some tater tots from the Broman Sandwiches truck. And
Broman Sandwich.
I had one very lovely whiskey drink and looked around and watched my 20 minutes of music and went home. But it was like, yeah, this is the thing. Another example of
we're slowly making baby steps back into normalcy.
Yeah, we're getting back there. We will get there. And like, there's been so many times because they had live music there, through part of the summer last year, and they were doing it outdoors and socially distanced and all of that.
Being very responsible.
Being responsible, but there were definitely times where, we had the thought of going there or the intention of like, oh, maybe we'll go give this a shot, and we got there and there were people, and we just went, nope, out.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there's definitely something that flipped this week from like you people to yay people.
Waldemir's packed.
Yeah.
Waldemir's. I mean, not like middle of the summer packed.
Okay.
I mean, it was,
Yeah, I don't know that.
The parking lot was 3/4 full, and
I don't know that I'm quite ready for packed, but baby steps.
I guess maybe packed is an over.
But
excited thing for me, it wasn't
vibrant and happening.
For opening weekend for the parking lot to only be 3/4 full, I'm sure is like, whoa, Waldemir people are like, oh, but at the same time, it's the soft open back into, the, post-apocalyptic nightmare that was the COVID, shutdown.
Yeah, most
period.
Definitely.
But yeah, man, it was a wonderful weekend. Beautiful. It was perfect weather and, kind of like all springy is springing and, school is getting close to ending and everything is, gearing up for summer. That's going to be like the roaring 20s there, man. It is. I'm telling you, man, once the lid comes off this shit and people are like, all right, it's going to be not wear masks and we can let's get fucking crazy and everyone's going to lose their mind. It's
hot
gonna be
girl
like
summer for everybody.
And there's going to be like, lunacy and craziness,
Yeah.
Which is cool. I'm all for it, but
I'm all for it for other people. Like I've realized over the past year that there's a number of things that I am officially too old for, and that's okay. Like I've come to terms with the fact.
I've embraced it myself.
Yeah. Well,
because I was like, for a while there, I was like, wait a minute, I'm not. I'm not some old fart. And then I realized, yes, I am an old fart. I'm an old. It's
I mean, you're a number of years older than I am. We won't.
I am.
We won't name a number. We don't need to do that. But
it's a large number. It's larger than you'd think, people. It's larger than you'd think.
Ladies.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, I can.
I was gonna say, is the audio is it overriding me?
No, you're
all apologies, people.
You're still good. But there seems to be an impromptu bike rally in your
crotch rockets are racing across Westlake Road.
Yeah, and all of those have come out of the woodwork in the last couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, man!
Too.
It's hey, man.
Yeah,
masks off, baby, masks off.
Bare faces with lotion.
Yeah, everyone's running around naked, getting 12 tattoos.
Hours of protection.
Yeah.
So we got a program tonight.
We do. We have a great program tonight.
We do. I'm a city guy, as you might have noticed.
Indeed.
But Mr. Skindell, my illustrious guest host, lives out in Mill Creek, out in the burbs. Mm-hmm. So with this being our last chance to party before the primaries, I asked you this week. So is there any hip groovy happening people out there running for anything in Mill Creek that we ought to talk to? And you told me about Mill Creek Supervisor John Morgan, who you said you had a.
I got actually. You know what? We'll save this story. We'll save this story for when he's on the show, for when he actually is here.
Okay, but that was a recommendation that you made of somebody running out in Mill Creek.
Yeah, I'm in Nape of the Woods here out in Mill Creek.
So Mill Creek Supervisor John Morgan is going to be on with us, and Aaron Lundberg, who's running for Erie School Board, is going to be with us. And yeah, we should have some interesting conversations with both of them.
Indeed.
So while we get them in, mentioned it briefly earlier, but went out earlier this week to Lavery Brewing and met with
our man on the streets.
Yeah.
Actually here for you. Actually there for you.
Actually there for you.
Your man on the street, the Adam Holquist.
That's me.
On the road, on assignment for you, the people of the city and the state of Pennsylvania.
But had a nice sit down with Amanda Green Hawkins, who is running for Commonwealth Court. We talked about some of the issues that we as people in Erie might be interested in. Had a nice chat with her, and let's go to that, and we'll come back and be here with our guests. Social Distancing Variety Hour, Erie. Hi guys, I'm here with Amanda Green Hawkins, who's running for Commonwealth Court Judge. I'm here at the warehouse at Lavery Brewing for a cool event that they've been putting on. Amanda Green Hawkins for Commonwealth Court Judge, and Judge David Spurgeon for Commonwealth Court. Amanda, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So you're from Pittsburgh. We're from Erie. We're an Erie-focused show. What do you have to offer? What do you have to say to the people in Erie? You know, what can you put out there as a candidate for judge that's going to be of value to the voters in Erie?
Well, I think the voters in Erie, just like everyone around the state, I'm running for a statewide court. I'm sure that the voters here in Erie are looking for fairness, just like everyone else. They want judges who not only have experience, but who can be fair and who have integrity and who will treat people with dignity and respect. That's important. And that's particularly important at a time when we see that people are concerned about bias in our judicial system.
Absolutely.
We only have one judge of color out of 31 appellate court judges here in Pennsylvania. And you can't deny the thousands of people we've seen in our streets across the country asking if justice is accessible or attainable for people who look like me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't deny that.
Yeah.
And so I can bring a different perspective, diversity of my race and gender, of course, but also my background as a union lawyer. There's no one on that court with an extensive background in labor law, yet the court makes so many decisions about labor and workers.
So I'm a union guy. I work for the state. I'm a member of Ask Me. My guest co-host of the show, he's a teacher, so he's a union guy. So we come from a union perspective on the show.
And I'm a card-carrying union member myself.
Oh, okay.
I'm a lawyer with the Steelworkers Union.
Okay. So I guess from a self-serving standpoint, there's been so much going on around the country about attacking public employee unions. Starting with Scott Walker in Wisconsin, and with the death of fair share around the country. With your union background and your union perspective, and I know you guys don't legislate from the bench. I know you guys don't advocate from the bench, but what can you offer to protect public unions in Pennsylvania?
Well, for one thing, I think it's important. Well, here's what's important to understand. That I understand the history of the attacks on labor. I understand the policy behind labor law, which is to make sure that the wheels of our economy keep turning, to avoid economic disruption, and also to make sure that people have the opportunity to band together for mutual aid and protection in the workplace. And there was a time when, during the Reagan administration, where the air traffic controllers were fired when they went on strike,
right,
concerning their dignity and respect. And that was the first time people had seen striking workers essentially fired. And then we move forward, we see a slow progression or regression where fewer and fewer employees are unionized. And then, next thing you know, we see attacks on public employees after the decimation of private unionization. Then we start to see attacks on public employees. And we see things concerning dues and things to really take the guts out of the union. And firefighters, remember in Wisconsin, firefighters and police officers were told, you don't have to worry about this.
Yeah, we're not coming after you. We're just coming after
but
those other public employees.
Right. But now, when you look here in Pennsylvania, what are we talking about? Taking away the right to collectively bargain, or not the right to collectively bargain, but the arbitration, changing the grievance and arbitration procedure, removing that from police officers and firefighters. Act 111. That's what we've been talking about. And for people who are concerned about collective bargaining rights in Pennsylvania, it's important to have someone on that court who knows this history, understands the policy behind labor law, and understands that removing grievance and arbitration from any collective bargaining agreement is essentially an attack at fundamental labor policy. That's important to understand. And it also is going to affect how the law is seen and how the law is applied. And I get this.
Well, I will drink to that. Amanda Green Hawkins for Commonwealth Court, thank you so much for sitting down with us for a minute. Social Distancing Variety Hour. Bye, guys. Social Distancing Variety Hour. That was Amanda Green Hawkins for Commonwealth Court. Welcome to our guests. Hi, John. Hi, Aaron.
Welcome. Hey, guys. How you doing?
Doing excellent. How about yourselves?
Good evening, gentlemen.
I'm good. John, I don't think I've ever met you. Nice to meet you over the screen.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Mr. Skindell, nice to meet you.
So for
Mr. Lundberg, Mr. Morgan, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I got a question for Garrett, if you don't mind. I'm going to open the interview.
Oh, go for
process. Yes. So Garrett, did you know I was Mill Creek supervisor before Missy told you?
No, I did not. I will. That's what I was going to say. This is a great story because I come home from work and I came walking in the door and it was a long day at work and I'm all tired. And there was normally I have my to-do list or my my calendar and stuff like that, and your card and stuff like that was there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honey, why is what's the deal? And she's like, oh, John Morgan, the Mill Creek supervisor, John Morgan, he's running for office. He came by today and we had a nice long talk, blah, 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 blah. My wife was very, very impressed. And
I'm glad, yeah. It was
all these wonderful things to say about John Morgan. And I was just like, all right.
Well, I'm relieved because I got to tell you, she left me questioning when I left. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I impressed that lady or she was very, she got the very
tough like that. She is tough.
She had a good poker face, man.
She's got an excellent poker face.
Trust me when I tell you, I am well aware of this face. And
hey man, more power to you, brother.
It's lovely, yeah. But she can be tough. She can be tough. But yeah, she was very impressed. So when Adam and I were kicking around who to have on the show, I snatched up your card off my to-do list, and thus we are here this evening.
Here we are.
We owe this meeting all to my wife. So to my wife, Missy.
Cheers to Missy.
So here's what I'm hoping. So here's my plan, guys. I'm gonna drink with you guys, and then I'm gonna burn your visages into my face so that I can be a friend of the show and not forget who you are, Adam.
What are you drinking tonight there, by the way, John?
I'm drinking a Jim Beam, the Devil's Cut.
Oh, I do enjoy the Devil's Cut.
Aaron, how about you? What are you drinking this evening? Not to start the interview off with what we're drinking this evening, but
I grabbed the water.
Okay.
Hey, it's important to hydrate. It's important to hydrate.
It is.
Especially on a Sunday night.
There's something else. I think I froze.
Understood.
Oh, you're back now.
Well, all right. So let's get down to it. John, you're running for Mill Creek supervisor to be reelected.
Yes, sir. I am the sitting township supervisor running for a second term. Yeah.
And Aaron, you are running for school board.
Yeah. Erie City School Board, one of like 10 or 72 people running for 4 spots, something like that.
It is quite a crowded field. It is quite a crowded field.
So but, either I'll win or get a lesson in humility. It'll be good.
Well, all right.
Well, starting with Aaron, maybe because it's my show and I've got a vested interest because I live in the city.
Never, Adam.
Sorry, John.
So there are, I think it is 10 people running for these 4 school board slots. Most of you are cross-filed, running both as Democrats and as Republicans, but of those 10, you are one of the 2 who actually is a Republican running for those slots. Do you feel like that helps your chances in the primary, or do you feel like, even as a Republican, that some of these Democratic candidates are going to get the Republican support and it's still going to be a challenge for you?
Technically, so over the past 5 or so 10 years, I've actually, right now I'm registered Democrat. So I'm on the Democrat ballot.
Okay.
And I'm cross-filed on both. I've switched back and forth. Living in the city, as you might know, I'm more of I tend to switch my party based on who's running in the primaries, because I think it makes a bigger difference, because you can vote for whoever you want in the general. But I think that some people like that I do that and some people don't. So whatever that means.
That's fair.
But if
that's fair, and I think that's
gain
accurate.
Some people for that, I might lose some people for that. I'm more of a middle of the road guy. So if you're over here on that extreme or you're over here on that extreme, I'm probably not your person.
Mm-hmm.
I'll drink to that.
So, Aaron, I understand the process. Really, you want to have an effect on the primaries, and so that makes sense. Let's move on to school board, though. So, what are your priorities, Aaron Lundberg? What are your priorities as a school board member?
So, first and foremost, my biggest priority is to make sure that we have people who are helping to better communication with teachers, parents, and the families, not just making decisions based on their own agenda or opinions, but that they're actually listening and understanding what the needs are, what the realities are, and quite frankly, how the decisions that are being made impact all the people involved. And I think that although it's gotten better in slightly recent years, that has been absent for a while. And I would like to bring that while caring for the children and teachers coming out of this pandemic, and a lot of mental and social and behavioral health issues and environments need to be put in place. But I also think that we need to bring a total academic experience around our students, not just certain focuses. And so if we can help get our athletic and extracurricular programs in order to complement the great education from the great teachers that our students have, and also just the buildings and environments that the students learn in, it's about time we start updating them so people stop moving out of the city and stay in the city. And I think too many people leave the city when...
Oop. Did he freeze up for you there, Adam?
No, you have taught they love you. And oh, did I freeze? I'm sorry.
Yep, you froze up there. You froze up there for about the past 6 or 8 seconds. But now we're frozen again.
Well, Aaron, I'm going to kick you out so you can rejoin because you seem to be locked up.
Kicking him out. My God.
Yeah, well,
we have to kick him out to let him back in.
I got you.
It's a rebirth process.
Oh, sure. Now you're going to settle for me, Adam. Now then, Aaron. Yeah.
Sort of.
I see how it is.
I mean,
I get it.
nothing personal.
This is a pro-city program. I get it.
My wife came out and missed all the props that I just gave her for getting you on the show.
I didn't hear anything.
She came out and.
Did you give her props? I gave her props. I don't know.
Exactly. I was just about to say. you also got some pretty big props.
You remembered? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he remembered.
I remember.
I mean, I brought it up. Is all I'm saying.
Exactly. I was just about to say, I'm more impressed that John Morgan remembered.
Oh.
But anyway, Aaron is back.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I don't know what I got. 75 people screaming in my house, so my apologies.
Oh, that's
no,
okay.
no sweat. But so, Aaron, John, I swear to God, we will get back to you. Don't worry.
Oh, it's fine. Dude,
I just want to follow up.
Sorry, John.
Look, I'm just here to watch the show. It's fine.
I just want to follow up with Aaron.
Now it's like a
exactly.
Was it a live viewing? Is that what it is? It's like you watching
Aaron,
me watch you.
I got you, brother. I got you. But Aaron, let me just circle back here. You were talking about communication. What are some tangible, concrete things as a school board member that you would advocate to improve said communications between parents and teachers, teachers and parents, administration and teachers, administration and parents?
Yeah.
However you want to break it down.
I think at least with parents and students, I think there is a better way we can have listening cohorts. I've not seen where that is happening, but I think that is a good vehicle to bounce ideas off of the proper people, families that are going to be involved in certain things, as well as bring in specialists that are needed that have knowledge in certain areas that can kind of help facilitate those conversations. I know with the teachers, it's a little bit different because of how the union works and some of the support staff. But I also think that there is what you would call just kind of out in the parking lot type conversations where, especially with teachers or support staff, you can learn a little bit about what the struggles are, what the frustrations are, what the hopes are. And the main point I was trying to get to in my last point is, if we can have a complementary learning experience for these kids where they want to attend, they don't want to just stay home. They have these great sports programs or extracurricular activity, whatever it is, robotics, that enhances their experience, along with buildings that are being repaired and attracting new families. I think what I was saying, Mr. Skindell, so my son Eli, my son Owen both had you. They love you. My kids have had nothing but incredible teachers. I loved every single teachers that my kids have had. And to be honest with you, I think that they get a great an education, if not better than most places. And there's other things that are causing families to move out of the city. And we need to stop the bleed because it's a great district with great teachers.
I really can't disagree with you there. Tell the boys I said, by the way, tell the boys I said hello, by the way.
I will. They love you all the time.
They were very fun. Aaron, I got to ask, and then I'll let Adam take over a couple, but I got to ask, what are your thoughts on charter schools and the manner with which they are funded through the district? How will you handle that thorny issue?
For one of those tension points.
Yeah, how would you handle that
thorny
issue of charter school funding?
Charter schools aren't the enemy. Charter schools not done well and not done consistently is what is needed. And my biggest question when it comes to charter schools always is exactly going back to what I just said. Why are students and families leaving for charter schools? And so is there anything we can be doing to enhance what we're doing in our own district so that there's not the need for that? We have a lot of great, I told you, we have great educators, but how can we come around all the unique situations, passions, and desires for the students of our district to treat that here? Because why should we have everyone go to a charter school? We can bring that excellent experience here. So that's how I feel about charter schools.
I understand. I gotta say, I'm as a teacher in the district, I'm very wary of charter schools and charter school fundings because they siphon a lot of money away from the programs, like you were referring to, a lot of the after school programs, a lot of the extracurricular programs. For years we saw all those things be cut and cut and cut and cut.
Yep.
And the district had to cut and cut and cut and cut. And now that the district is unified and Erie High is unified and stuff like that, I'm glad to see you supporting investiture in after-school programs, extracurricular programs, academic programs, from robotics onto athletics and stuff like that. Like you mentioned,
that is what keeps the kids coming. That is what keeps them. I mean, we have a problem with students not coming, especially older students, starting to not come to school or attend. You got to give them other areas that are going to keep their passion going, that is going to give them that holistic educational experience instead of just forcing certain education things and not giving it well-rounded, So, and I'm sure that's a big deal in Mill Creek too. I mean, it's everywhere. Kids are looking for more than just history, English language arts, and all that. It's got to be something that's really going to prep them for the world. Because, to be honest with you, kids can actually get a lot of that stuff on YouTube or on all these different apps. I mean, you can teach yourself to play a piano if you want on your iPad and all sorts of different things. And we know that's.
I can change the oil in my car now because of YouTube.
Yeah.
So, and I could not do that before. I'm not ashamed to admit that I could not do that before, but I can now through the wonders of YouTube. Adam, I'm gonna toss it over to you. I'll let you lob a couple into Aaron's court before we move on to John.
So obviously, any thought of adding additional programs, adding additional, anything, the budget and the loss of funding has been such a major issue in Erie School District particularly over the last few years. How do you reconcile the state of funding with wanting to be able to add programs? Where does it come from?
Well, I mean, right now we have a large influx of funding, as a lot of districts do. I mean, we've nearly gotten two different situations. We've got nearly over 100 million from the COVID relief packages. But while we're in the middle of this thing with the state, we are, having a few years here where we definitely have to have some tax revenue increases because of the program we're in. Although we're looking to get out of that as soon as possible. But the reality is there isn't just increasing revenue. There's also being efficient with expenses. And I don't want you to hear me say cut expenses. I think that there are more creative things we could do, businesses or programs that we could partner with some of our trades, with how we do some of our programs, and even looking at vendor management. Some of it, we could do a better job of, but also think creatively, innovatively. I know some people don't like this idea, but I think maybe it's time we start thinking about how can we have bigger classrooms for some of the larger or the older students, such as 11th and 12th grade, so that we can use some more specialized teachers somewhere else. So I'm not saying let's move some of those people or cut some of that. Let's move the people. Let's have extra teachers in kindergarten or in some of the classrooms where the class sizes need to stay smaller. But my 12th grader doesn't need the same room size as a first grader. And so we have technology that's available. We can get wise with technology with some of this funding and use it to our advantage. And I think sometimes everyone's like, no, that's a horrible idea. Classroom size needs to stay small. Well,
yeah, for a second, I was about to have a stroke there for a second. I was like, all right, I'm sorry, increasing class size. But then, I understand the point you're making.
And I'm not even necessarily saying it's a good idea. I'm just saying someone needs to have the gonads to say, hey, well, let's look at it.
Let's explore this avenue as a way to better.
Instead of just go, nope, this is the way we're going to do it. Or I'm going to say this is this because these people are going to vote for me. So I say that. And I just think that that's the wrong way of thinking. You got to look at all perspectives or you're not going to get to the right answer.
It may be an idea that you shoot down because it's not, logistics don't work out.
Oh yeah.
The logistics can't be, tweaked, but I understand what you're saying.
You got to think it through.
Explore all avenues.
Yeah.
So is it
Adam,
is it John's turn? I think it's John's turn.
I think so. I was going to let you take it over and kick it over to John.
So John, you're current Mill Creek Township supervisor.
Yep.
For the folks who don't know you, apart from the fact that you are current Mill Creek Township supervisor, talk a little bit about your background and what your path to your current position has been.
Sure. Well, I have a degree in public administration, and I'm a certified municipal planner. So I spent about 10 years in the county planning department. You mentioned AFSCME. I was an AFSCME steward for our department for 10 years there.
Okay.
My primary role was as transportation planner and administrator for the Erie Metropolitan Planning Organization, the Erie MPO, and that's actually it's a little known group, but it's pretty influential. It's a board of local elected officials and transportation professionals whose job it is to advise PennDOT on state highway and bridge funding. So I was the administrator for that group for about 10 years. And one of the reasons I ran for office was, in that role in the county, you're kind of the in-between between the state and the locals. And
Sure.
what I always saw my role was how do I help cut the state red tape so that our locals can get a piece of the pie and get their projects done and find grants. And there were a few times where I had reached out to Mill Creek Township Board and wrote grants for them and brought funding opportunities to them, and they just weren't interested. And I think what I learned from that experience working at the county is that at the local level, there is a lot. You guys said being in the show, all politics and all elections are local. And I think at the local level, we often get very well-meaning individuals running for office. They really do mean well and their heart's in the right place, but not always folks who have the professional background or experience or training to know how to actually run an organization or how to best utilize government resources.
Sure.
And so I decided to take
functioning government, right, John? So that you have functioning government and not just wheel spinning, wheel churning stuff that people like to just love to complain about.
Right.
All right. Well, the fact of having government actually functioning.
Right.
And not cuts back so far so that it can't perform the jobs that it's supposed to, the services that it's supposed to be serving.
Well,
sorry to interrupt, but
no, but you're absolutely right. But the flip side is it's like you've got folks who want to cut government, or folks who just say yes to everything because, like Aaron mentioned, they want to get votes, right? Mm-hmm. And so I ran to be, because I felt like I had the professional skill set to run the third largest municipality in Western PA. And I ran to be, when I ran the first time, my slogan was, fresh voice for Mill Creek. And it was about, at that time, there's a lot of controversy going on in the township. We had members of the board that just wanted to fight with everybody. They hired, their family to prominent positions in the township, and just kind of just fed this like good old boy kind of divisive cycle. And I was like, well, let's get that out of the way and let's focus on actually running government and being professionals. And I think it resonated with people. I think I won the primary by I think I got 65% of the vote, and then I got 65% of the vote in the general. So, I like what Aaron said earlier about being in the middle. And I think at the local level, you need to be. I think most people operate around here, and they want you to work together. They want you to not to be apolitical and just do the best work based on logic and reason and objective measures. And that's what I offered, and that's how I won the first time. And I'm pretty confident that that message still resonates with people today. And in a couple of days, we'll find out if I did a good job.
All right. So regardless of whether you win or whoever else wins, what are going to be the challenges that Mill Creek faces in this upcoming term that you are running for?
Well, the biggest challenge we have in Mill Creek, I think, is inertia. When I first took office, there was kind of Mill Creek, the government entity was kind of like Mayberry, right? Like,
oh, I understand what you mean.
I had
as a resident of Mill Creek, I understand what you're saying, but go ahead.
It was just kind of like, well, what are we gonna do today? Well, let's do this today.
Go along to get along.
Yeah. Well, when I took office, they invited me to a budget meeting, right? As a courtesy, and I sat in the budget meeting before I took office, and they handed me a 2-page piece of paper with the $40 million township budget on it. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, guys, this is great. This is a great summary. Can I see the full budget? And they said, well, that is the budget, because there wasn't a budget process in place. So like, what are the challenges in Mill Creek? The biggest challenge that we've had in Mill Creek is a government that wasn't run like an organization for a few
Like a
hundred years.
giant PTO or PTA?
What's that?
Like a giant PTA?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. So
nothing wrong with that. I mean, the Mill Creek PTA
but
out here is wonderful.
that's not how you run the
moms.
like I said, I think people lose track of the fact that Mill Creek is just that suburb around the city of Erie. We are literally the third largest municipality in Western Pennsylvania. It's Pittsburgh, Erie, us, and then you don't have anybody else close to us to get to Harrisburg.
Yeah,
and it was run like it was some like
Cranberry
1,000
Township
person.
is close.
What's
I
that?
think Cranberry Township, I think, is getting close by now, isn't it?
They're about 35,000. We're
Okay.
at 54.
Yeah. Okay.
But when I say the next in line is it's Harrisburg.
Yeah.
Sure. Mm.
So I understand the concept of like professionalizing and modernizing and, you know, coming into the big boys league, you know, as far as running government competently and professionally, but not to say that you didn't answer the question, but I don't think you answered.
I did answer the question. That is the absolute biggest problem.
That's the biggest. That's the biggest priority.
It's not like the sexy answer. It's not like, oh, we need to like change this one piece of property and put it into good use, or we need to like, I don't know. It's like the city. Like if we just like redo the Bayfront connector, everything's fixed.
I understand.
And I'm being frank. That's bullshit.
I appreciate
Yeah, that's also not true. But yeah.
Yeah. The biggest thing you can do, the biggest problem in Mill Creek, is government inaction and government being irresponsible and unprofessional. Because what builds a community is not the magic bullet that you get a grant for. What builds a community is day in and day out grind of actually listening and understanding what problems are and asking tough questions and consistently answering them, the little things, the right way. So when I say inertia, it's because we've got this mindset in Mill Creek, either everything's fine, and it's not, or if we just have this one big thing, it'll be perfect, and that's not true either. So when I say inertia, it's because we need to keep moving forward with having consistent standards and accountability in place for our employees, for our programs, to make sure we're doing the right thing every day. So I mean that is the answer, and I know it's not like the sexy thing.
I got you. I actually appreciate that non-sexy answer clarification.
So
as
actually a little.
I'm honest to a fault, and I'm drinking.
It's actually a little breath of fresh air. I got to say.
So as Mill Creek, you're literally wrapped around 3/4 of the city. How do you see your relationship with the city? What can the city do for you as Mill Creek, and what can you as Mill Creek do for the city?
Our relationship with the city is great. I took office in 2016. Mayor Schember took office in like 2018, and I can tell you that I think the relationship between us and the city has never been better. Joe is a very open-minded guy who is willing to listen and work with us, and I hope I bring those same qualities to the table. In my opinion, and there's some people in my township that don't like when I say this, the mayor of the city of Erie is the leader of our region, and how the city goes, the rest of us go too. And so it's very important. So it's very important for us to have like a symbiotic relationship and not a competitive relationship with the city of Erie. When we did our comprehensive plan, Embrace Mill Creek, that I led, I was very conscious of not having this plan be some cookie cutter where it's, well, we need to make sure we have all the industry, but that's not true. You know, Mill Creek's niche in our local economy is that we are the tourism hub, and we are, for all intents and purposes, the nice neighborhood around the city. So what we need to do is make sure that we are enhancing our tourism district to enhance the quality of life for our whole region, and maintaining our housing stock so that there is a viable place for professionals to live in Erie County. And not just professionals. I don't mean to sound exclusionary, because that's what past supervisors have said too. We're all about building new multifamily housing as well. But the reality is, in our study that we did, I want to say it was 3 out of 5 households over 200,000 median income live in Mill Creek Township. So when we talk about what our strength is, I think what's important is the city of Erie gets the businesses, gets, the Erie insurances and the velocity nets of the region for that important kind of critical mass in your main downtown area. Well, those folks are going to want, nice housing options. And I know the city's working on that, but right now I think we are the option. We are an extension of the city. And I think our residents, and Garrett, I think you will agree with me, our residents see downtown Erie as our downtown. So we are one metro area.
I'm a city boy at heart that
Oh, I grew up on
we found a house here. We looked at many in the city and ended up coming to this one here that we're at. So, I don't disagree.
Well, and interestingly enough, you grew up in the city and live in Mill Creek, and Aaron and I both grew up in Mill Creek and live in the city.
Exactly. It is, but it is.
I went to Jefferson Elementary School and Wilson Middle School.
All right, Rowan Wilson.
There you go.
Woodrow Wilson, baby.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, I want to say that too. When Aaron was talking about school district and the city is good, it is good. What really ticks me off is people who say like the city school district is terrible. And so moving out of the city. That's a bunk. I mean, any school district is good if you're a parent who's willing to be invested in your kid. You can make any school district work for you. And my son's a product of the city school district. I'm a majority product of the city school district, and I think they're doing great work. So.
Oh yes. Well, we work awfully hard to work to make sure that all those things are happening. But enough about that. Let's move on to Aaron. Go ahead, Aaron.
John,
you can ask a question. Sure.
I got I got a comment for you and a question. One is the question first. Can we toss you guys a few of our tax exempt properties? I'm just kidding.
You've been out to John.
That's a real challenge, and I will say that we in Mill Creek we're at about 10 or 15% tax exempt. The city's at like 40%. It is a real challenge, and I think there are a lot of nonprofits out there that aren't really nonprofits, and I think I know our school district and us we are very aggressive in challenging tax exempt status, and I think the city and the city school district probably could be a little more aggressive with that.
Yep.
I think there's this.
It absolutely could.
Yeah.
And I think there's this like, Kathy Dahlkemper says this a lot, that there's like a scarcity mentality, like, well, anything's good. And we should just be so grateful that these employers are here. And I hear that from LECOM a lot. And if they're watching, I'm probably going to, my opponent's probably going to check in her campaign coffers tomorrow for saying this, but like, LECOM talks about their economic impact, and they do have an economic impact, a huge economic impact. I think they're one of our largest employers.
However,
but they also have $500 million in the bank, so they can afford to pay the local taxes.
Yep.
Exactly.
So we challenge them all the time, and we at least get like a 50% pilot off of them in the courts. And I think it's important that we do that. And there's other nonprofits, and I have to make sure I say this. For example, Hands, they do low-income housing. They are completely nonprofit, and every year, back when it was Chuck Scalise, and now it's Matthew Good. They'll come in. They still pay their taxes even if they don't have to. So you have some nonprofits who understand they're part of the community.
They're a wonderful organization too.
Right, and they actually make a donation that they don't have to make. There's no pilot agreement. There is 100% tax exempt. They meet all the criteria. And you have others that frankly are just using the status as an excuse not to pay taxes, and those are the books you have to really crack down on.
I appreciate that answer, John, because I think oftentimes a lot of my friends out in the suburbs, or they're like, why can't the city just get the school district just get their budget in order, or the city? And I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
I'm like, I don't think you understand. You have to understand what is actually causing this, and you're not having to deal with that. And also part of you is you're not even living in the city.
Literally
so
for 10 years. And literally for 10 years, they did nothing but cut everything. They cut everything.
Correct.
To
and
the point where they were like, they'd be like, all right, well, we're going to stop having high school. And that was what got everybody to go, oh, wait, you mean all the city kids are going to come out here to go to our schools? Oh, no. We can't. Oh, no.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden everybody got off their duff and was like, "Oh yeah, no, we'll find some funding."
Yeah, we can find some change in the
but
couch cushions.
It's people.
The funding,
people act like
the way we fund education in
Erie
Pennsylvania is crazy.
School District has had their house in fiscal order for like the past 10 years.
Yep.
It's just there's milk and stone. You can't milk the stone only so long.
Yeah,
and now that there's going to be funding and an influx of funding and the COVID funding coming in, there's a chance for a very real and tangible chance for a transformative investment in moving forward and doing a lot of these things that have been very needed for quite a long time in the district. So I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, we're on
moving forward. That
And all right. I'm not here to talk about school stuff, but
exactly.
I got to push back on that point, Garrett, because the idea that like the magical federal sky money is going to fix everything. But we've seen that before. Like school districts took the stimulus money from Barack Obama and George W. Bush and put it towards operating, and then the funding went away. And what happened? I mean, I think
everything went into the
right. So I think it's important that. For us, we're getting about $6.5 million in Mill Creek, and we're going to throw almost all that into infrastructure. It's about building real things and capital improvements that are going to last. Because once you start using, one-time federal stimulus funding for your operations, you're setting yourself up for failure in the future.
Yeah, that definitely seems like a mistake.
Yes,
I 100% agree.
Well, but the fact that there are going to be mental health services and counselors and other services that are going to be necessary investments in this future.
Right, but I think if you start funding that kind of stuff with stimulus, what happens when it goes away? You're going to have maybe 3 or 4 years of that.
Oh no, I understand. I don't disagree at all. And I think the Erie School District is doing a lot of investment. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Mr. Lundberg, but I think they are doing a lot of investment in. I mean, at least I know in my building that just had a fire in September, and is construction going on in the basement and the HVAC and a few other things all going on at once while we're all back in the building is a whole nother thing. But I know that there are those capital investments like you're talking about, John, that are going into structural improvements of schools that are quite a whole lot bit older than ones in surrounding districts.
Yeah,
that require a lot more investment of construction costs, et cetera, that aren't necessarily contained in some other districts. But anyway, Adam, I'll toss it back over to you there for a moment.
But you were doing so good. You were on such a roll.
I know, but I had to. I'm thinking of my next question, and I haven't got it right yet.
So, John, you're coming to the end of your first term, and you're facing a primary challenge at the end of your first term. Where do you think that is coming from?
Where do you think it's coming from?
Shit just got real. Shit just got real, John.
It did. All right. Well, I'm honest to a fault, and I'm drinking with you guys. Where do I think it's coming from? All right, I'm gonna be frank. When I took office, I negotiated a union contract that our employees didn't like, and I had a colleague on the board that I often butted heads with, and that person is no longer in office. And I had members of county council come asking Mill Creek to donate to the county, and I said no.
Okay.
So I think I've ticked off some county level politicians, I've ticked off some union bosses, and I've ticked off some local elected officials who are looking to get back at me.
Well, and your opponent is coming from the county, obviously.
There you go. Yeah.
That's interesting.
So I would say it's coming from the fact that, when you say you want to be a fresh voice, everybody here. My favorite story when I took office is I sat down with my department heads and I ran on being a fresh voice. And this department head said, "Oh, John, so nice to meet you. I loved your slogan, being a fresh voice." I said, "Well, I appreciate that." Then I started asking this director about their revenues and their expenses and why they weren't quite lining up the right way. And they don't like the fresh voice when it starts talking to them. No. So
everybody likes a fresh voice until they start asking questions.
Until they start asking the wrong questions.
Well, that's the thing is I think the important thing about local government, any government, is it's not about like people who have all the answers who claim can solve all the problems. It's people who are willing to actually ask tough questions and not settle for half-assed answers. I think I'm gonna be cussing now. Jeez.
That's all right.
So
it's
I'll give you an example of one. I'll give you an example of one thing that I got like hit on. Like my opponent put this hit piece out on me last week about how like John Morgan cut public transit funding. What the piece doesn't mention is that the EMTA doesn't ask any other municipality for contribution except for like Mill Creek. Like they came out and they get like $1,000 from Summit, $1,000 from Harbor Creek, and $1,000 from Fairview, and they were asking us for $25,000. And I said, well, like, why do you want $25,000 from us? Like, it's a county-run authority. Why don't you have the county with their $400 million budget fund the county authority properly? And no one can answer the question. And I looked into it, and they were servicing 15 municipalities outside the city of Erie, and only had 5 contributing. And I said, well, guys, have you even asked these other 10 for $1? And they said, well, no. And I was like, well, tell you what. Why don't you go ask the other 15 to contribute as well, and then we'll think about increasing the contribution. And they said no. Instead, they staged this protest. I had members of county council come to my public meeting to call me a jerk.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I said, well, look, there's 15 municipalities outside the city of Erie. You've got a $35,000 budget hole. I'll pay 1/15 of it until you can give me a better reason to give you more.
Well, and obviously, looking at what their routes are, there's probably a lot more real estate that's serving destinations in Mill Creek than there is that's serving destinations in Green Township.
Well, and I will tell you this: I asked them for that data.
Yeah.
And they part of their justification they gave the newspaper. They gave the value of their ride all the way out to Corey as if it was Mill Creek's value.
Okay.
So they put the cost of the Corey route on Mill Creek,
which is the complete other direction.
Gerard route,
yeah,
on Mill Creek because it passed through. Because EMTA doesn't actually track ridership.
That seems
they don't
like
know. They don't know
like
where their boarding landings are. They don't know. I worked for 10 years. I tried telling 3 different executive directors to put counters on their buses, and they never did. So I can tell you that they don't know who's boarding or lighting where on their system.
Well, I can tell you that you can get those. You can get those little clicky things. You can get those little clicky things at Walmart for like $10.
Like every fare, you would think, all right, at the end of the day, we have this many fares. So
they don't even take debit cards. They take exact change. You ask some of the charity groups in the city of Erie how frustrated they are when they're trying to help people get around town. And I mean,
I've heard that
EMTA is running like it's 1950, and I'm not going to donate Mill Creek tax dollars to a county authority. That's mismanaged. But the flyer says I cut public transit funding. So sorry guys, I'm a little fired up.
No. That's what we're here for.
We live for this shit, John. We live for it.
Well, the thing for me is like I'm not like a bumper sticker politician, right? Like I'm long form. I don't.
Yeah.
That's what we live for.
Like if you want real answers, it takes more than one line on a piece of mail or a bumper sticker.
Mm-hmm.
And it does take a little bit. And as voters, you have to dig a little deeper into finding out what the issues are. And at the local level, a lot of people don't do that. Only the most diehard, people who are interested locally, go through that kind of legwork to find out what's going on and to be aware of what's going on.
Well, most interesting about when you ask how I work with the city, it was interesting because a couple of weeks ago, a couple months ago now, a member of Joe Schember's administration reached out to me to ask me about EMTA because now they want to look into it too. So it's, I think it's important that we have elected officials who are willing to say, hold on, what's really happening here? Why are you asking for this? What's the value of it? Instead of going, well, you know what? If I say no, I'll get bad press, and I'd really rather get a cheap headline about how pro something I am rather than actually ask real questions and be responsible.
Right.
Adam, do we have a break coming up or no?
Would you like to take a break?
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't know. I thought we had one coming up. I'm not sure.
We can take a break. Why don't I put on a piece of music? We can take a little break, refresh ourselves for a minute, and then we'll come back and chat a little more.
Yeah, I'm a little. I need a refresher here.
Yeah. All right.
We're here. You were watching Social Distancing Variety Hour with school board candidate Aaron Lundberg, Erie School Board candidate Aaron Lundberg, and Mill Creek current Mill Creek supervisor seeking re-election, John Morgan.
This is Church of Head. This is called Flying Teapots Over the Alleghenies. Social Distancing Variety Hour, Erie.
Keep pouring in a variety, not so fucked up days. Can you feel the heat? It's Mother Nature's defeat of all the wonders we trampled on. Move along, son, move along. It's time to go. It's time to go.
Social distancing.
Variety
hour. That was, in fact, not Church of Head. That was Abbey Barrett with All the Trees Are on Fire. Because the other one didn't work. Welcome back. We're still here with our guests, John Morgan, Aaron Lundberg. John, you were asking a question during the break, and I told you to save it. So.
Yeah. Well, I just, I was curious how long you guys have been running this podcast and like what kind of inspired you to start doing this kind of stuff.
First of all, we don't use the P word.
Oh no!
I thought you told me it was a podcast. I'm sorry. What do we call this thing?
I just call it. I mostly just call it a show.
Social distancing variety hour.
Although now we do make a podcast version. One of the many things that are available to you. If you support the show,
I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's all good. No, stay with us. One of the many things available to you if you support the show on Patreon. Link is down here. Point below yourself, John. Go like this. Yeah, down below, John. Patreon.com/SDVH. One of the many, many benefits available to you is the audio podcast version of the show. So we don't use the P word, except sometimes we use the P word. So my usual co-host of the show, his name's Michael Bennett. He runs a radio show on WERG called Face Cookies, and I do a lot of different things. But I'm a musician and I put on shows and stuff. And Michael and I started this show back in March of last year, and it was literally like the first week of shutdown. It was like get sent home from work on Tuesday, and let's have a show Tuesday night. All my gigs were suddenly canceled. His radio show was suddenly canceled. So it very much started as like, let's hang out and drink wine in the basement and make music, and our friends will send us videos, and we'll talk a bunch of shit on the internet and entertain ourselves and entertain our friends. And then the world caught fire. Then the world caught fire over the summer. And, with the Black Lives Matter protests, with the evolving political situation leading up to the elections last year, it's like there's real stuff going on in the world. It would behoove us to talk about it. So the focus definitely shifted. Like, we still talk to artists and musicians and friends who are just doing fun stuff sometimes. But, we kind of had the opportunity to talk to more candidates and politicians and activists and stuff, and the focus has definitely shifted. And then Michael's taken a little sabbatical for the moment, and Garrett's been with us for the last couple of weeks. Garrett's
my third show,
returning champion, friend of the program. He was one of our guests back in I guess late summer of last year. But Garrett.
Well, I'm glad someone on the show is championing Mill Creek for you guys. I really appreciate Garrett. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I've evolved from friend of the show to co-host, substitute teacher of the show.
Substitute.
There you go.
I feel like something I can aspire to, or something like that, and like not be like, "Where's this lesson plan?" Oh my gosh,
I asked Garrett about 20 minutes before the show started what we should put on the blackboard, and I think I gave him a panic attack.
I was like, "Wait, did I miss a memo? Was I supposed to prepare for this?" I
didn't lesson plan for today.
Yeah, but so I've gotten to substitute to pinch hit, so to speak, over the past 3 weeks during all the election coverage for the primaries. So
cool.
I've been like Mr. Poli Sci guy, and.
Which is totally out of character for you, I know.
No, yeah, it's all right. It's right. It's in my wheelhouse. It's in one of my many wheelhouses.
And so Aaron and I are your best local politics guests so far, right?
I'm imagining, yeah.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
Sure. All right. Yeah. Sure.
You sold that well.
High praise.
I will say you guys are both much better than Carl Anderson. Much better than Carl Anderson. But that's a pretty low bar,
Why would you say that?
Oh man, I'm not gonna lie. Like, part of the reason I said yes is I saw how much you guys busted Chambers balls. I'm like, I can't say no. These guys will never live it down if I don't show up.
Yeah. Speaking of people who told us no, we got some stuff to talk about later about some other people who've told us no, but we won't get into that.
I'm not giving those guys a reason to bash me. So I'm like,
And
I
I
want
gotta
to be
say,
cool with
John,
the cool kids.
John, you fit in well. You fit in well.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
You came sliding right into the show. Just not bad.
Well, how many guys? Now, I was asking Adam about this. How many guys bring their nightcap with them to the show?
It's probably a little under 50-50.
The politicians do?
Fewer of the politicians. Yeah. Like
it is late on a Sunday night, so we do grant them that.
We had
this was like the middle of the day or something like that. This was like brunch
we had Christy Ganibas on the show both before and after the election in the fall.
She's great, by the way.
We love Christy. Christy, great friend of the program. Before the show, Christy was on her best behavior. After the show, when we were sort of like doing the postmortem, like, so tell us where it all went wrong, Christy.
Yeah.
Big old glass of wine, like one of those giant red wine goblets.
Fishbowl.
Yeah, like the fishbowl the size of your head, glass of red wine.
Yeah, let me tell you a story.
Let me tell you stories of.
Yeah, it was good. It was.
Let me tell you what I think of Mike Kelly, and that was good television.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah, they were both good, but drinking Christy definitely the more entertaining of the two. Hi, Christy. Love you, Christy.
We do. We're big fans. So, gentlemen, so Aaron, tell me, if you are elected to the school board, what will be your first initiative, your first priorities, your first the thing at the top of your list?
So I've been attending. I watch the school board meetings. I've had a history with the school district. I've been involved with everything from the advisory panel with Dr. Adams to helping with the strategic plan. And so my big priority is to make sure that everything that we put together in the strategic plan is continued to be followed through on. But I think the first thing I need to do, if elected, not just in the primary, but in November, is just continue to watch the meetings, learn, talk to people. I think I've got to do that until I'm in the seat in January officially, and make sure that I'm really understanding the desires and needs that everyone has, is listening. Crappy answer?
No. Trust me, we have had worse, Shannon. We've had worse.
Yeah, you guys are coming in at a good time.
It's hard to answer that kind of question, Garrett, when you're the nominee.
Exactly.
Or the candidate, I should say, when you're the candidate, because there's so many intricacies to local government and school districts as well. So it's like you can walk in there and say, I'm going to do this, but once you're in there, it's your head's spinning. Especially
I guess what I'm trying to get at is what is Aaron fighting for? What is Aaron Lundberg passionate about? What is the thing that drives you to want to be on the school board? And maybe I should have asked it that way instead.
No, that's a different question.
It's a much better question. It's a much better question.
Do you want to know? I'll let you know.
Thank you,
John.
Do you
want to know what originally made me?
Those are fine questions. Yeah.
What originally made me want to start thinking about it? Because like I said, I've been involved over the last 10 years in various ways, and most of the people don't see, but I believe in the city. I believe in the district. I believe in what John said about. I think the mayor is the most important role in a county, and sometimes we spend so much time talking about the county. But if the mayor is not right, if the city is not right, the school is not right, the county is not right, we need a thriving city. But the thing that really got me started to think about it is like, I wonder if I should run for school board. A lot of people have mentioned it to me because of me in meetings or different things. But it was every single time I would snow blow my sidewalk. I live 3 doors down from Jefferson, and I see that a plow company got hired to snow plow the school district, the buildings, and they drive the snow plow on top of the sidewalk, and the tires, the tire base is too wide for the sidewalk, and the last 3 winters, every winter, the tire rut goes over, and it just creates this big, ugly mess. And I'm like, that represents everything that I need to run for.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
It's a metaphor.
It's a good metaphor.
That decision? Who makes that decision? You go with the lowest bid instead of using your support staff properly or buying the right equipment. And I'm like, that's everything. And then so many people drive past on 38th Street or go past any of our other buildings, and they see that. And I'm sorry, but it represents our buildings poorly. It represents our teachers poorly. It represents the standards that we have for our students. And we have students who we make sure they have to tuck in their uniform shirt, but they walk past that and say, that's what I'm walking into. And that's how much we care, is we have them walk past that. That represents a lot to me. There you go. That's what started it.
That is a metaphor.
That's
For me.
So
there we go. That's
John, we talked about like what you accomplished in your first term, what you're proud of from your first term. What from your first term are you looking forward to the opportunity to do differently?
I think if there's one critique of me that I think is probably accurate is I probably don't get out enough to be kind of the cheerleader for the community.
Okay.
And I think as an elected official, you've got, and I've always said this about the mayor's office, but it applies to me too. I've always said there's kind of two functions. You have to run the building, and run the operation, and then you have to be a cheerleader for your community. And I feel like, not to be critical of Joe Schember, but I think like what Joe does best is being that cheerleader for Erie and getting out.
I can agree with
and
that.
Being there and being present. Mm-hmm. And I think Schember is an excellent kind of emotional leader for the city, where I feel like what I've focused my term on the past 5.5 years is I've been so focused on fixing the building that I probably haven't been out in the community enough, and I'm not, like you mentioned this union event that you went to on Thursday. Like I don't go to those.
Yeah.
Like Thursday night, I was out talking to voters, going door to door, and meeting folks like Missy, and I probably could do a better job of getting out in the community. And I mean, I've had my own challenges in the past. I to be frank with you guys, I went through a pretty messy divorce right after I took office, and I kind of I realized that my career and my political ambitions had really just forced my personal life to go to hell. And so I had to try and cut back in certain areas. And what I cut back on was that kind of after work stuff, and cut back on that political stuff to try and focus on my marriage and then focus on my kids. And so I didn't do a very good job of balancing. So I think my next term, what I could do a lot better is be more of that presence in the community. Like people don't like, when I asked Garrett, did you know I was a supervisor before Missy told you? It's because I'm not out there tooting my horn or getting the headlines. I'm doing the work, and I could probably do a lot better promoting not just myself, but promoting the township through being out there and doing stuff.
Well, you talk about that being a thing that Schember is good at, and just an example illustration of that, our little boy Oscar is 4, and Oscar's first Santa Claus. We went to a Christmas thing at the Arboretum at Frontier Park, and we didn't even know at the time until we saw the posts on social media the next day of like, hey, thanks to Mayor Schember for coming down and being our Santa Claus for this event.
Oh yeah.
So Oscar's first Santa Claus was Joe Schember, and that sort of like that illustrates everything,
Uncle Joe Santa,
both good and bad about Joe Schember. Like he is cut out for being Uncle Joe Santa,
but
maybe some when we got protesters in the streets being kicked over by the police, that's like he's a little out of his that maybe doesn't play to his strengths quite in the same way that walking down the street and being Santa Claus for some neighborhood kids does. Yeah. But I digress.
But I do have 3 light up pens from him.
Oh man! All right, I want to clarify. I gotta clarify something.
I like Joe.
I gotta clarify. I think Joe Schember, and I've said this before, I've said this in public. I think the city of Erie is blessed to have Joe, because I think for a long time we had mayors that didn't care to be out in the community, and I think it's very important to have your political kind of figurehead position be someone who's encouraging things. Like the stuff that's happening in the city right now, it might not all be city driven, but Joe is championing all of it and letting it happen, whereas past administrations might have squashed it if the administration wasn't getting enough credit for it. So I think Joe's doing great in that. I think, administering the building, he's hired some really good professionals that are doing the best they can. But I think what I was talking about earlier is it's hard to be Santa Claus and also be the guy who makes really tough decisions for the good of the future too. It's hard to do both those things. And I think I am not Santa Claus, but I am very effective at taking people off and doing the right thing for government. So
and to be able to make decisions when there are crises that occur.
Oh, decisiveness.
When there are, I mean, the pandemic put a crunch on everyone.
Yeah.
But especially local governments and local municipalities. But how you are able to, and like Adam was saying with the protests earlier this summer and the long hot summer, there's many different ways to handle, that people have different skills and different skill sets to shine in.
Yeah.
And, some of them we shine in and some of them we not so much. But so goes the city, so goes the rest of the county, the rest of the municipalities surrounding the city. So we're in for quite an election this Tuesday.
Yeah.
So I asked this question last week and I liked it, so I'm going to ask it again to you guys. Apart from yourselves, which you're obviously endorsing yourselves, who is somebody else who's running for some seat on Tuesday who you like and who you're excited by?
This guy Aaron Lundberg seems like the real deal. I don't know if you heard this guy yet, but he was
we went to high school
on this
together,
Not
actually.
podcast, and it was really impressive.
This Not podcast, yes, my friend. Aaron, are you writing this down and be like endorsed by John Morgan, Mill Creek Supervisor?
I just bought an ad with his name on it.
There you go.
I'm in.
It's whispered at the end of the ad.
It won't help because no one knows who I am. Just ask Garrett.
Because he's not Santa Claus.
But you're the sitting Mill Creek Supervisor, for God's sakes, John. Own that bitch, baby. Own it.
Refresh my memory. Are there multiple supervisors still, or just
There are.
one?
It's a 3-person board.
How does that work?
Perfectly.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's a more interesting question. But Aaron, if you want to say who you're supporting and answer Adam's question, you can, and then I'll get back to that one because I think it's
that's a good question. Yeah, I want to get back to that.
Aaron.
Yeah.
When I ran for office, there was this push to change the form of government in Mill Creek, right? And that was actually on the ballot when I was running. And they wanted to change the form of government to be a 5-member board of supervisors that are an elected council who then hire a township, make it almost like a school board kind of form of government. And people ask me about it all the time, and my answer to them was, look, your form of government doesn't really matter. It's the quality of people you elect to office. But now that I've been in there, the beauty of a 3-member board of government is there's accountability. You can't, a mayor or a county executive can blame their council, or a governor can blame the legislature. But when it's 3 guys and you are the legislature and you are the executive and you are the administrators, the buck stops with you. So anything you implement, you have to then follow up on, and you can't blame anybody else for it screwing up but yourself.
Well, you can blame 2 other people, to be fair.
And the other 2.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what some of my previous colleagues like to do.
And you have to, but the thing about it is, you have to, the 3 of you have to come to consensus here. What is the best mode of action.
Exactly.
What are best practices?
Yep.
What are best processes? What are
Yeah.
best, what's the best way to proceed?
And if
or
you
do
have
we kick can down the road and let somebody else worry about it next term?
But I think that the beauty of that, though, is like it's 3 of you, right? As opposed to like a city council that has 7, or a school board that can have, what is it, 7 or 9 right now on the school board?
No.
It's a lot easier to get consensus when you got 3 people in the room who have diverse opinions who are willing to work together. And right now we got 3 guys on the board, and the nice thing is, I think when you think about government, you've got kind of you got 3 basic areas. You got your public works and services, you have your public safety, and then you have like your planning and development administration. And the 3 of us on the board right now, my background is in planning and admin. We have a retired state trooper on the board who knows law enforcement and public safety. And then our 3rd supervisor worked in our public works department and is a volunteer fire chief. So we've got like 3 guys with really diverse perspectives, and we work really well together. We trust each other, and we trust each other's judgment, but we're also open to each other's opinions, and it works out really well. I'm a Democrat. One of our members of our board is a moderate Republican. I would say another one is probably more of a conservative Republican. But we're able to work together and get things done. Whereas I feel like a lot of times, as you see it in Harrisburg, when you've got the authority in different branches of government, those branches can butt heads, and there's no real incentive for them to work together when they can just keep blaming each other. Whereas for us, if there's gridlock on the board, all 3 of us are to blame for it. So that's how that works, at least in my opinion.
Excellent. Aaron, what candidates are interesting in garnering your support?
You want
moving forward
on the school
into
board or
anything?
No. Any office.
Yeah. Who do you like for anything?
Like some of the other offices, it doesn't have to be school board, but like some of the other offices.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, here's a candidate that I really like and admire and respect, or whatever.
I will talk about someone that if I would say, if you were not voting for me and needed to vote for one other person on school board, I would say Daria Devlin. She is a mover and a shaker, and I've been working with her for the last 10 years. But to be honest with you, there are a lot of really good candidates for school board. I probably shouldn't be saying that, but I have in my.
It's true though.
It is true. In my properties, I have 4 signs. Either in my house or one of my rentals, I have my signs. Vote for Aaron, May 18th. Daria, Dr. Leatra Tate, and Chuck Nelson.
Okay.
Chuck for city council. He is super knowledgeable, and I kudos to that for anyone. I also think the same thing with Angela McNair.
For county council?
Yeah, for county council. Whether you agree with her or not, she goes and gets it. She's a hard worker, and to me, that wins my vote over anything every time. And that she's not crazy on one side.
She's real. She's very real.
She hustles, man, and that means a lot to me. We have so many people, and there's other good people on the school board. There's a few I'm like, they just don't jive with me, and they probably say the same about me. Probably have, but I like the hustle. I like the people that have the passion, and most of all, I want people who don't come with a huge agenda over here or over here, because that just creates a distraction, especially on something like a school board. You bring in a big agenda, that means you're not working for everyone. And I hate to say it, but when you're on the school board or city council or county council, you're working for the whole. So like in my organization, I make decisions all the time that are organizational decisions for the whole. They don't always match my opinion, but it's the right thing to do because that's what you're hearing from people. And that's who we need to be voting in.
Well, I will say that Dr. Leatra Tate's sign is in my yard too, so that's one that we can agree on for sure. So John, other than picking Aaron, which
I thought you get back together.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it. That was a pretty good cop out. That was a quick. I like.
Yeah, no, it's good.
Cop out, Aaron.
I see what you.
I
see what you
all
did
the
there.
Erie school of all the school board candidates I've spoken to and met, you are the best.
That's.
How many have you spoken to and met?
One.
Well, that's not important.
Okay.
There we go. I was just about to say, very thank you, Adam, because I was
Yeah.
about to ask that question.
Because I've spoken to or met 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6.
6. That's good.
Yeah. Well,
And 5.
yeah. We had the slate of folks, the Erie County United slate. So Leah Tate, Lauren Gillespie, Depends Hamba, Zachary Sharif were all on the show together. Jay Brenneman's been on the show before. Jay's a friend of the show. You and I go way back. Aaron and I, full disclosure, went to high school together. We've not been super tight over the last 20 years, but yeah, we have known each other for a long time. And I think the rest I don't think I have met, but yeah, I've met 6 of the 10. So
there we go.
Anyway,
So John, aside from Aaron Lundberg,
which we all know and love Aaron Lundberg,
running for any office that you are supporting.
See, it's a dangerous question because you answer, then you like alienate everyone else.
That is true. So. That's part of the question. Here for. I think that's part of the reason why I Adam asked it.
I will. Okay. Of the candidates that I've met. So, okay, to Aaron's point about you have to have a broad perspective. I think it's also important, like I mentioned earlier, that if you're going to run for office, you need to bring something to the table. You need to bring experience to the table. You need to bring humility to the table. You need to bring objectiveness to the table. And I got to say that the candidate that I've met for office that I think brings that is probably I was impressed with Delana Rasinger.
Okay.
I'd be pronouncing that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I met her briefly, and I think her background skill set probably makes her the most qualified person to run for county executive right now. And that's not a slight at anybody else. Number of people who are running, I know, and I consider them friends. They might not consider me a friend now, but I still consider them friends. But I think, yeah, Delana, I think, would serve the county well and bring up professionalism and objectivity to that position.
Excellent answer.
I will say she's my second choice, and I'll leave it at that. All right.
No, but I appreciate you had to think that one out.
No, that's yeah.
That's a difficult question that Adam, proffers.
Yeah, and
because of those reasons.
I like that one.
If I say A, then I'm gonna alienate B, and I don't want to alienate B.
I like the why do we have 3 supervisors question much better or much more.
No, and that's a good question too. And
that's a wheelhouse. That's a wheelhouse thing.
Aaron Lundberg, cheers for coming on the show and asking good questions to other people, because
anything you need.
We don't get enough of that on the show. The guests asking good questions to the other guests, so that's much appreciated.
Really?
Yeah, not enough. Not
if you're
as much
running
as you
for
think.
office, shouldn't you be able to ask good questions?
Well, sometimes they feel that it's not it's not their place. Like, well, they'll leave it up to the hosts to do that.
No,
but I enjoy the exchange.
Yeah, this is what we're here for.
Exactly. You guys make it easy.
That's why we have the non-podcast non-podcast.
That's right. We don't say the P word. So Aaron Lundberg, any parting remarks for the folks?
Yeah, I was thinking, I didn't even introduce myself really. So, I'm married. I live in the city. I have 4 kids, all go to city schools, ages whatever 5th grade is to 11th grade. I think that's 11.
Wait a minute. Am I going to be getting more Lundberg? There's more Lundbergs in the pipeline that I will be able to teach here. One's in 5th grade, so that means that that'll I probably won't be retired by then. I'm sorry to interrupt, but go ahead.
Oh, you're good. So they'll be coming up. I've got 2 decades of executive management experience, both in the business world and nonprofit world. I navigate a ton of people's opinions right now, and people can be very opinionated, as you know, especially the last few years. and I try to make the best decisions in my leadership in those. And so with that experience, comes construction projects, fiscal responsibility, strategic planning, organization, leadership, leading employees, leading volunteers, all that. And I've been heavily involved from a community standpoint, from landscaping to, the community advisory panel with the superintendent, to steering committees, to PTOs, to Title I teams, all that sort of stuff. And I can tell you, I think you're going to get a guy that's going to come on the board with a lot of opinions, but my opinion is the one that least matters, because I want to be a person who hears the people, who understands what is the concerns of all the people, both students, just from students to teachers to families to even the community, and how we can best partner with the administration to bring about one of the best school districts in this state. And we need to do that. And so I just continue to ask for everyone's vote on May 18th. Number 5 on both ballots. How did I get lucky? Four people on both sides can win, and I'm a 5 on both ballots.
Number 5 out of 4 on both ballots.
This much, yeah.
All right, John, same thing. Any parting remarks for the folks watching?
Well, I appreciate the time with you guys. It's been fun. Parting remarks. I just want to ask, Mill Creek voters. I hope I've served Mill Creek well. I hope I've been able to demonstrate that, and I hope to earn a second term, keep moving Mill Creek forward. And what I feel I bring to the table is integrity and principles, and a willingness to ask tough questions and make tough calls, and not to pander and not to make empty promises, but to do the heavy lifting of local government, and to serve to the best of my ability, and to be open to comments and be open to criticism. But at the end of the day, make decisions that I believe are what's best for our community, and I hope to get an opportunity to keep doing that.
All right. Well, thank you guys both so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, John, for joining us on the Social Distancing Variety Hour.
Mr. Skindell, should we put the record back on for a minute, and then we'll come back and say goodnight to the folks?
Drop the needle, my friend.
All right. We'll see you in a minute. Social Distancing Variety Hour, Erie.
my sign, I wanna stop. Shut up, I say, I like to say, stand up. But this is bungle chip, doesn't go around, say that no, 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 it's a go, sack out of I'm still more boo, bad as I don't.
Social distancing.
Social distancing variety hour.
Our record for tonight, by the way, is Mr. Partridge Takeaway / The Lure of Salvage. That's Andy Partridge from XTC Side Project. Great record.
Mr. Partridge. I'm a big XTC fan. Love the XTC.
Oh yeah. So we've had an opportunity to talk to lots of interesting local candidates.
Lots. Two we had on tonight.
Yeah, two very interesting local candidates we had on tonight.
I tell you, I got to thank you for having me guest host here these past 3 weeks, because we've gotten to talk to a whole slew of candidates that are running in the primaries. That
Yeah, it has been a real good time. It has been an interesting primary municipal election season. We got through the election back in November, which ended up mostly okay. There was some disappointment mixed in with the positive results there, obviously, but we got through that. And if you go back and watch the first anniversary spectacular or the end of the election night shows, you'll hear me and Michael talking about so we survived that, but now what? Because we're already right into mayoral elections, city council, county executive, school board. So there is no rest for the wicked, and hopefully, I guess I'm hopeful that the contentiousness of what we all just went through back in November and following hasn't made people go you know what? I'm tired of politics and I'm tired of voting.
Cool,
for a
we
little
did
while.
it.
Cool, we did it.
Good.
Go
We're
team! Yay!
Oh man, phew! Thank goodness we're done with that now. It stops. It's just
and it doesn't stop.
That was just the beginning.
Yeah, and like you said at the beginning of the show, all politics is local, and there's no more local politics than local politics.
And especially in this election. This election is almost significantly local, or there are a ton of races that are critical for our area at a pivotal time in our communities.
Yeah. Well, and
in the time span of our community, there are many pivotal moments, but this moment is a very pivotal moment, and these elections are.
Well, and we got a big
about the future
influx
of how our communities are shaped.
We got a big influx of. Because of what we've been going through for the past year, because of COVID and all of that, we got a big influx of money coming to our municipalities, our school districts. So there's a lot of decisions to be made about.
And we have to be very smart about how we make those decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And
who the people are that are making them.
I think John made some good points about, do we really want to, these one-time payments, does it make sense to put those towards operating expenses, or is it better put towards
infrastructure,
capital improvements kind of stuff? And I think there's a lot of sense in wanting to put that in more of a capital direction. But can we read something? Let's.
It's reading time, boys and girls. Let's get down to the reading.
Yeah, it's story time. We've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of local candidates on the show. There have been some local candidates that we've not had the opportunity to talk to on the show.
Indeed.
And we don't necessarily dislike them just because we haven't had the opportunity to talk to them on the show. Many of them
not at all.
Many of them have their reasons.
Like I said, it's a late show. We give lots of people the leeway that, hey, it's a late show. It's late on Sunday night. We understand.
Yeah, we totally understand. However, so the headline here, this is from the Pennsylvania Capital Star, honest, aggressive reporting for Pennsylvania. All eyes on Erie, why the Northwest PA County holds pivotal status for 2020 presidential election. This is dated November 3rd, 2020. I'm skipping. But in this pivotal county, the excitement from both parties is palpable, and their predictions for the outcome of the presidential race are wide. It's very divided, said Corey DiLoretto, an Erie County voter. He stood outside Tracy Elementary School in Erie's 13th Precinct, campaigning for State Rep Ryan Bizzarro, D of Erie, who's running for a third term in the State House, blah, 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 blah. DiLoretto spent his morning outside in the crisp, sunny air, talking to voters as they came and went from the polling location. Based on his discussions with Erie voters, DiLoretto told the Capital Star that the community is very divided. Democrats are voting for Republicans. Republicans are voting for Democrats. It's very surprising.
Which turned out not to be.
Mr. Skindell, I'm taking it for granted that you're a Democrat.
Indeed, I am.
Did you vote for any Republicans in 2020?
Not a one.
Yeah. Now you can go ahead and ask me.
Adam, have you voted for any Republicans in 2020 cycle?
No, not a one. From what he has heard, though, a lot of people are voting for President Donald Trump, and I think he has a really solid chance of retaining the presidency. Still, quote, some people don't even know who they're voting for yet, DiLoretto continued. DiLoretto is one of those undecided voters. He planned to cast his vote at noon after his shift was over, but when the Capital Star spoke to him at 10:15 a.m. on November 3rd, he said, "For president, honestly, I don't know who I'm going to vote for either. I'm still thinking about that, but locally, I know."
But nationally, he had no idea.
Nationally, no idea.
10:15 in the morning on voting day,
on election day,
up in the air. Oh my gosh, what a
conundrum!
Conundrum.
Like, how could anybody decide? Because on one side, you got that guy. On the other side, you got that other guy.
Possible? Never mind that it's not true, because there was no. I mean, if we look back at the voting, rolls, and we look back at the results, there were not very. In fact, there was more Republicans that had walked away. Yeah. Hashtag walk away, and voted against Donald Trump than voted for. Than otherwise. There wasn't a whole lot of defections.
No, not a whole lot.
Yet. Corley DiLoretto had no idea who he was going to vote for.
No idea.
Trump
was
a viable option as a Democrat.
As a Democrat, as a guy.
As he was working on a Democrat.
As a guy who was working the polling places for Ryan Bizzarro. I still don't know.
I find that hard to believe, and
it's a bit perplexing.
Someone undecided.
Here's who we got. Here's who we got running for city council. We got Marcus Ewell, who we were hoping might be able to join us tonight, but couldn't. Hi, Marcus.
Very good choice. Very good choice.
Elspeth Kate Cayley, friend of the program. Jasmine Flores, friend of the program. Liz Allen, friend of the program. Chuck Nelson, friend of the program. Mo Troop, who was unfortunately not able to join us tonight either. Corey DiLoretto. There he is. Corey DiLoretto. Undecided. The undecided Corey DiLoretto. Corey DiLoretto, whose residence is listed as 924 Peach Street.
924 Peach?
924 Why? Peach Street is right there. 924 Peach Street.
Wait a minute, Adam. That can't possibly be.
That's 924 Peach Street is the offices of James DiLoretto, DMD. And
the dentist.
There's some upstairs windows there. So, maybe he's sleeping in the dental chairs. Maybe he's got one of those upstairs spots.
I'm just saying, you could just you lay back, there's a little, you lay back and kick back.
Yeah.
And there's
watch a little C-SPAN. Watch a little C-SPAN. Have a little medication.
Novocaine, or you can nitrous.
It's very comforting. But this is that's where
undecided.
Yeah, undecided, and conveniently lives at the offices of James DiLoretto, DMD.
Now, you're not saying that he doesn't live in the city.
I'm not saying that he doesn't live in the city.
However, This is
the question.
residence.
The question has been raised as to whether or not.
And this was raised in the press. This wasn't something that like Adam decided.
No, it's it's
to pursue. This is something that Adam happened to notice in the press.
It has been brought to my attention, and I was my interest was piqued. So, not saying to not vote for Corey DiLoretto, but Corey DiLoretto, as of 10:15 on Election Day, could not decide whether he was going to vote for Donald Trump or for Joe Biden. Also, may or may not live in the city of Erie. That's all information that may be of interest of you as a potential voter in the city of Erie. I know it's of interest to me. I know it's something I'm giving some thought to. You might want to do the same.
The invitation had been extended
repeatedly.
For Corey DiLoretto to appear on and become a friend of said program.
Yeah, and the invitation is still out there. Like, I would be more than happy to discuss any of these issues, any of the other issues of the day. Win or lose on Tuesday, I'm still happy to talk about any of this stuff to
a wide range
potential and other topics as well to potential friend of the program, Corey DiLoretto. Corey, hi, if you're watching, if you're listening, slip into my DMs. You know where to find us. In the meantime, this has been another Social Distancing Variety Hour. Thanks to John Morgan. Thanks to Aaron Lundberg for being with us. Thanks to all our candidate friends of the program who've been with us through the primary season. Go vote on Tuesday. If you got your mail-in ballots, make use of your mail-in ballots. If not, be sure to go to your polling places on Tuesday. I'll be going to mine. Best of luck to everybody.
Make sure you vote. Make sure you get vaccinated.
Yes. I think we're going to take the next week or two off. We got a couple things coming up over the next couple of weeks, but we will be back with you beginning of June sometime to see how all of this shook out. And we will follow up with some of the folks involved to see how it all went for them. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. Dr. Skindell, thank you for being with us again.
Adam, thank you for having me during this all-important primary season. Remember, all votes are local and all elections are local. Adam, thank you very much for inviting me. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Social Distancing Variety Hour.